Yes, welcome everyone to the Marijuana Times show for February 8th, 2018. I'm your host, Joe Klare. You find myself and many other great writers over at marijuanatimes.org covering the cannabis community and industry and beyond. Everything you need to know as far as news and opinions and the latest of what's going on in the cannabis world, marijuanatimes.org. You can also find these videos there as well. You can share them on your social media networks. And make sure you search Apple Podcasts for the Marijuana Times show, the audio version of the show. For those of you on the go, search Apple Podcasts, the Marijuana Times. Do the same thing on YouTube and Facebook. Search Marijuana Times and you will find the videos of the show as well. Today, we're talking about the U.S. Attorney in Oregon and what he's saying about legal marijuana and what he plans on doing about it. Also, we're going to hear from the governor of Massachusetts about what he thinks about the recreational retail sales rollout that's going on there. Mentioned a possible delay in yesterday's episode. It'll be basically a follow-up to that. Also, is a Girl Scout in trouble for having her picture taken selling cookies in front of a dispensary? This is a relatively newer picture. I know you've seen other pictures on social media and videos of Girl Scouts selling cookies in front of medical marijuana dispensaries and retail shops and so on. But this Girl Scout may be in trouble. That's right. You got to rein in those Girl Scouts. Up to shenanigans. Always up to shenanigans. Before we get to all that, of course, I have to tell you, whoops, there we go. The Marijuana Times show is brought to you by NatureSideCannabis.com, organic, all-natural pesticides. If you live in a state where it's legal to cultivate cannabis, places like Colorado or Washington or Oregon, you don't want to be putting harmful chemicals on your grow. You want to grow safe and poison-free. And to do that, you need organic, all-natural pesticides like those from NatureSideCannabis.com. They can also help you become regulatory compliant. There's pesticides regulations in many states now, whether it's medical or recreational or both. There's approved pesticides that you can use. And, well, NatureSide is approved in Colorado, Washington, and Oregon already on the approved pesticide list. Be regulatory compliant. They can help you with that. NatureSideCannabis.com. Side is spelled C-I-D-E. Grows safe and poison-free with an awesome Marijuana Times show sponsor, NatureSideCannabis.com. This first story is from MarijuanaTimes.org. It's a story I wrote over there. U.S. Attorney in Oregon wants to do something, quote-unquote, about excess marijuana supply. Basically, the U.S. Attorney for the state of Oregon, Billy Williams, he made a speech recently in front of a big crowd. And the crowd included members of law enforcement, the cannabis community, and even Oregon Governor Kate Brown was in attendance. He indicated his displeasure at the thought of excessive marijuana escaping the state and being sold elsewhere via the black market. Williams said that Oregon has, quote, identifiable and formidable overproduction and diversion problem. In other words, legal marijuana is being diverted from Oregon into other states and into the black market in other states. He said, that is a fact, and my responsibility is to work with our state partners to do something about it. As I point out in the article, there's really not much they can do in Oregon about it. They can try to restrict supply and raise price, and that'll make that marijuana less attractive elsewhere, but this is prohibition. If you want to go back to prohibition, which didn't work, well, that's not the right direction to go. If prohibition didn't work before, it's not going to work now in terms of letting marijuana out of the state. You just go back to the black market situation. The problem is most other states have massive black markets. They don't have legalization laws. They certainly don't have recreational legalization laws in over 40 states. So it creates the black market is the dominant market, and there's a lot of incentive for someone to buy marijuana in Oregon where the price has dropped precipitously since legalization took effect. Buy it there for cheap, take it to another state, run the risk of getting caught and being able to sell at the inflated black market prices in that state. There's every incentive for someone to do that. And they do. They do that. The only real answer, unless you want to go back to prohibition, and everybody has prohibition, and that's where we're going to do it, which is not the direction we're going to go in any case. The only other way to do it is for other states to legalize, and then the prices drop in that state, and the incentive to take it from one state to another, and there's no profit motive. The profit's cut, the prices are cut, the profit's cut. There's no reason for them to do that. He's going to do something. He wants to do something. The mantra of the politician and the U.S. attorneys, apparently, which are really, I mean, let's face it, U.S. attorneys are just politicians. You know, what are they going to do if they're done being a U.S. attorney? Well, if they don't become a judge, which in most states is a political post, then they're going to go run for office. So, in any case, check that story out over marijuanatimes.org. Of course, we link to all the stories I talk about in the description. So, go click if you want to read more about it. This next story is Governor of Massachusetts. Yesterday we talked about the possibility that, well, as you know, delay happened in Massachusetts as far as retail recreational sales. Delay until July 1st. It was going to be January 1st under the legalization law they passed in Massachusetts. Then it was pushed back by a handful of lawmakers over the Christmas break in 2016 to July 1st, 2018 for the opening of retail stores. And, of course, now they're saying, well, that may not be right. If we're not ready, we have to push it back farther. This next video is from Mass Live, and they got a chance to speak with the governor of Massachusetts, and here is what he had to say about the possibility of recreational retail marijuana sales being delayed in his state.
Your administration is not a fan of some of the marijuana regulations. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, I think our view on this one is the Cannabis Commission is doing a great job. They're moving at an incredibly fast rate of speed. They have a big agenda and a lot of work to do, and I think our view is...
See, he sets it up there. He sets it up there in the beginning. They have a lot of work to do. They're doing it very fast. That's basically the setup for everything else that he wants to talk about.
They need to make sure that the key elements of this legislation are implemented in July. And the key elements involve what I would describe as a seed-to-sale dispensary operation and some of this other ancillary stuff. If that's something they want to come back to at some point, I don't see any reason why they can't. But I'm deeply concerned, based on my conversations with local officials, people in public health, and a lot of other folks, that if they try to unwrap the entire package straight out of the gate, the role and responsibility they have as an overseer and as a regulator is going to...
See, here's the problem. Here's the first problem I have with this. Well, I have a lot of problems with this. They're trying to do everything out of the gate. Out of the gate. November 2016 is when this bill was passed. Okay? That was 14 months ago. He's talking about they're going to do it all at once, all out of the gate. The gate, they had left the gate a long time ago. They've been working on this for several months. This is 5 months away. He's talking about something being out of the gate. It's still 5 months away. His basic point is, well, they're just doing too much. Too much going on. They're trying to do it too fast. They're trying to go from 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds, and that's just not going to work.
Is going to be compromised, and I think it's really important that the launch of this happen on terms that are consistent with the legislation, but also with people's expectations. And we should remember that the whole point here was to create a safe, reliable, legal market here in Massachusetts, and our view on that is that means think about it as an incremental approach. Do the things you absolutely have to do to get it off the ground, and then after you have some experience with
incremental, isn't that what they've been doing? They have a long time frame to do it in, like over a year. They have to do it incrementally, unless they just kind of sit around for 300 days and then decide, well, I guess we really should work on this now. Everything they've been doing is incremental. This is disingenuous, what he's saying. He's trying to paint it like, well, they're going to go too fast. And it's a very complicated issue, and it's because it's a very dangerous substance. We got to make sure that we do this in a safe way. As if, well, the plan was, well, we were just going to get big semi-trucks full of weed and just start dumping them on the highway and having people rush out and get them. Rush out and get what they could in the middle of traffic. It's ridiculous.
That if you want to expand it into other areas and circumstances, then by all means have those conversations. But trying to do it all at once, right off the bat, straight out of the gate, July 1st, is a gigantic lift and one that we worry.
All at once, straight out of the gate, July 1st. July 1st, 2018. He has the gate swinging open for a year and a half. This was passed in November 2016. We're talking about July 2018. Out of the gate. All at once. He keeps using these ridiculous phrases that have nothing to do and have no relation to what's actually going on in Massachusetts right now.
Will be one that might not work quite the way people intended.
And just on marijuana cafes, are you concerned that if Massachusetts became the first state to open pot cafes, that would catch the attention of the Justice Department?
No, I just think at this point in time, the commission is still a relatively new entity. It has a relatively small staff. It has an enormous portfolio. It needs.
Right, a lot to do, not a lot of people to do it. It's new, it's all new, they can't do it. It may take longer than expected.
To pursue. And our view is it ought to focus on the stuff that's fundamental to the rollout that can be managed and then learn from that and move from there.
I hope this is the Senate.
Again, as I've been saying the last few days, isn't this what these people do? Isn't creating regulations what they do? I'll go back to the other day. I used the bus driver analogy. That bus driver, he knows how to drive that bus. He knows the route. He knows how to turn. He knows how to turn without hitting anything. He knows how to make his stops on time. He knows about how long it's going to take him. He's an expert at driving that bus from one point to another. That's what he does. This is what regulators do. They make regulations. And to pretend that, it's just too much. It's too much. They're overwhelmed. They're overwhelmed with what's going on here. It's absolutely ridiculous. And it's a subjective thing, too, because if it comes July 1st and they say they're not ready because it took too long and it's too big of a deal, what are people going to say? They'll say, oh, no, you're wrong. And they'll say, well, we're the ones doing it. We say we need more time. How are you going to argue with that? They may have no problems whatsoever. They may just be saying that, but prove it. Prove it they're lying. This last story is from apnews.com. Scouts eye whether a cookie seller near pot shop broke the rules. Uh-oh. I told you. It was Girl Scouts. They're up to shenanigans. San Diego Girl Scout Council is, well, that sounds ominous, doesn't it? is looking into whether a scout who was photographed selling cookies outside a marijuana dispensary broke any rules. Officials were trying to identify the girl and talk to her family because she was in a commercial area, which is not allowed, Council spokeswoman Mary Doyle said in an email Monday. Here's the thing about that. I read another story, the New York Times version of the story, said that the rules are different for different Girl Scout troops in different geographical areas. So I guess the San Diego, the San Diego Girl Scout Council covers San Diego, and according to their rules, you're not allowed to sell Girl Scout cookies in front of commercial locations, which is ridiculous because that's the best place to sell them. I mean, locally where I live, you go to 3 or 4 times, you go to the Walmart that's nearest to my house, and you'll find Girl Scouts out front selling cookies. Oh, I just narked them out. I'm sorry. No, there's no Girl Scouts in front of the Walmart near my house. I'm not a snitch. I'm not a snitch. But apparently they're allowed to do that. Why wouldn't you be? You're gonna go door to door? First of all, I don't think that's safe. Second of all, you're gonna annoy people going to their house. When they go to Walmart or a commercial area, they're already in buying mode. And if they see some Girl Scout cookies, well, they may buy it there. And it's not like a business owner is gonna be like, well, there's a lot of Girl Scout riffraff in front of my store. It's driving down business. That's not. Girl Scouts aren't going to drive down your business. Let's say, oh, well, I'm not going to that store. They have Girl Scouts in front. They're selling cookies, and that's just awful. Why would they do that? In public, of all places. But commercial places seem like the best place to sell Girl Scout cookies. Oh, well. Urban Leaf posted a photograph of the girl on Friday outside the shop that sells medical and recreational marijuana and invited customers on its Instagram account to come get some Girl Scout cookies. The girl, wearing her her green vest of badges, is clutching boxes of cookies outside the front doors of Urban Leaf in the photo, which was widely shared on the internet. Urban Leaf founder Will Sen said the girl was with her parents and was just passing by with her wagon. He said he likes to support local fundraising efforts. That sounds like a little bit of a backtrack, because he's telling people on Instagram to come down there and get cookies, implying that she's staying there. But then he found out that she was in trouble, and he's like, well, she was just passing by. And he says later in the story that he wants to talk to the San Diego Girl Scout Council because he doesn't want this Girl Scout to get in trouble, which I actually would feel pretty guilty about because he's the one that posted the picture. And they also have someone from the Girl Scout Council, Doyle, as mentioned before, said, as Girl Scouts, we assume good intent. When we learn that the girl is in violation of the standard guideline, we almost always discover that the parent was unaware of the rules, which is probably the case here because, again, it's a silly rule. You're selling Girl Scout cookies, but you can't stand in the business district in front of a store and sell Girl Scout cookies? Now you can see if the store owner really doesn't want you out there. They had a bad experience with Girl Scouts. They, for some odd reason, do think that it's driving down their business, whatever, and they tell them to move along. But that's really not going to happen very often. And again, you're trying to sell Girl Scout cookies, you're trying to raise money in commercial areas, in front of shops is the best place to do it. In front of a Walmart, wherever. Not that there's Girl Scouts selling in front of the Walmart near my house, because like I said, I'm not a snitch. There's nothing to see here. Move along. Enough with the questions in the third degree. Thanks everybody for checking out the show. Week's almost over. 2018 has been huge so far. It's going to continue to be huge. Help us spread the truth about cannabis. Like, share, comment on these videos. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, rate and comment on there as well. Thank you to NatureSideCannabis.com, proud sponsor of the show. Organic, all natural pesticides, NatureSideCannabis.com. If you want to sponsor the show, email us at info@marijuanatimes.org and we can discuss that. Thanks everybody for checking out the show. We'll see you next time here on the Marijuana Times Show.